If you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, cause if you do, maybe we'll finally be able to play the other versions of the alpha build. So, we're back at the alpha again. This time around, we'll be looking at the cut characters and enemies of Half-Life 1. Unlike its sequel, Half-Life 1 has more interesting cut enemies rather than the characters. So without further ado, let's begin. Ivan the Space Biker was the original protagonist, intended to be controlled by the player. This is the character that was evolved into Gordon Freeman. When the game was unveiled to the public on May 27, 1997, that's when everybody saw Ivan for the first time. He was without a name at that point, had appearances in 2 screenshots in the press release Valve did, where you could see what he looked like. A man with a square head, wide eyes, flat top cut, and a wild beard. The word research was written on the back of his spacesuit-like outfit. This suit, of course, became the HEV suit, and from the man's archetypal bike appearance, he was dubbed the Space Biker. His design was reworked into the man who would become Gordon Freeman. One reason for cutting Ivan was that Valve didn't find him suitable to the vision that they had about Half-Life. They wanted a character who would be identifiable, someone that's the opposite of what usual FPS protagonists were like at the time. Gordon suited that vision because he was someone who we could relate with. He was thoughtful, introspective, and college educated. But when Valve restarted the project's development in late 1997, Ivan the Space Biker was cut from the game. The Human Sergeant, also known as H-Assault or the Military Gunner, was an HECU soldier type that was cut from the game. He would be a sort of a mini-boss, equipped with an M60 at first, but then later, that M60 became a 20mm cannon. According to the concept art, he was supposed to use the M60 for a spray attack, shoot rockets with his law rocket launchers, and melee attack if the player got too close. However, the Human Sergeant was cut from the final game, and his face texture was reused for one of the HECU soldiers Gordon faces during his journey. The female scientist was a part of the science team that got cut from the final game. We would have met her in the communications center facility where she was the head scientist. She would ask us to realign the satellite dish somewhere in the facility for her. When we would return after doing that, she would reveal her ulterior motives when we see her waiting with a squad of Marines. I was surprised to learn this, as this is extremely similar to Judith Mossman's betrayal in Half-Life 2. But Valve couldn't do this sequence in the Gold Source engine, then therefore the character and this plot element was cut. The construction worker is an unused character from Half-Life 1. He is in the game files but not used anywhere. He's a jumpsuit wearing construction or maintenance worker if you go by his appearance. He was most likely created from an earlier model of the security guard. His animations suggest that he was most likely to be featured during the starting train ride sequence or on the Rails chapter, but for unknown reasons he was not used and cut. Now, with these characters out of the way, let's talk about something more dangerous. The cut enemies. The Charger. This Zen alien would have been a 2-legged creature with a small head covered by 2 flaps. Not much is known about its original behavior, but it has been speculated to be a very fast enemy as deduced by its name. There's also another concept art which shows a more demonic version of the Charger. However, it's not confirmed if this even is the Charger or not. The Panther Eye, a 4-legged beast. There were 2 versions of the Panther Eye, a blue one which was created first in development, and then the red one which was created later. While its head resembles that of a Vortigaunt, his 4 claws would have been used to leap and claw the player's face off during combat. Another attack of its would have been to grab the player and throw them to the ground and then attack with his sharp teeth. From its behavior, it can be deduced that it acts like an actual panther or a feline animal, crawling on its belly to be stealthy, fast movement speed, and its terrifying appearance. Unfortunately, the Panther Eye was cut from the game, the main reason being that its problems with the feet sliding. Now I'm not sure what that means, but I assume it has something to do with its movement. The flocking floater, the flocking bloater, or the sting sail, was an aerial Zen alien cut from the game. Although a passive enemy, if not provoked, the floater would attack the player with projectiles of gas when hostile. Its balloon-like head was the part of it that kept it afloat, and this balloon appearance, I guess, was later used for the alien controller enemy. Now, everyone's favorite cut enemy, Mr. Friendly. This creature was the size of a horse. It crawled on its uneven legs while making a sound that would resemble of fingernails on a chalkboard. It would first act as a non-hostile scavenger, eating the dead bodies of the enemies you killed, but if provoked, it would attack you in 3 different ways. It would use its spurs to knock the player down, it would vomit on the player to damage them, and it would fatally copulate with the player. Basically, he would caboodle with Gordon so much that Gordon would die. And that is an absolutely mad concept. But one of the more interesting concepts were that when it attacks Gordon, his glasses would fall off and the screen would get blurry. But this idea never came to fruition because the game's engine, Gold Source, was not advanced enough to do a blur effect. Additionally, it would also act as a warning system when not hostile. If he would see a threatening monster nearby, Mr. Friendly would make a screaming cry and then run away. That cry would alert the players that something really bad is nearby. Interestingly, Mr. Friendly was in the game until early 1998, but was removed right before the launch of the game, fortunately. The Kingpin is a terrifying monster. Twice the size of an average human, it would have a huge brain filling its whole body, and 4 eyes evenly placed around it. An earlier version of the Kingpin had 3 chitinous legs, while the later one had a worm-like appearance. Its main attacks were psionic, which meant that it would attack the player with its psychic ability and was immune to missiles as it would move incoming rockets aside. The Kingpin would have been found in the caves of Zen and in the topside mortar pool area. It was to break free from a squad of soldiers tormenting it and destroy that squad with the help of the player. The Stuka Bat was an aerial bat-like creature with 6 eyes and would attack the player with its claws. The Stuka Bat would make bird-like noises, hung from the ceiling like a bat would, and also walk on the ground as well. However, the Stuka Bat was not always hostile towards the player. Sometime it would attack, sometime it wouldn't. The Stuka Bat was planned to be in Blast Pit, on a rail, and in the Zen chapters, but sometime during development, it was cut from the game. The Archer was a fish-like alien that the player would fight underwater. It was the size of a small shark, and it would attack by either biting or throwing electric spit projectiles. Apart from that, not much is known about the Archer. In the game files, there's also the Snap Bug. Not much at all is known about it. It looks slightly larger than a head crab, and that's pretty much it. It has a sharp-looking design, and I guess it would have acted in a similar fashion to the head crab. sphere, or the control sphere, was a biological alien weapon inside an egg-shaped ball. When activated, the ball would open to reveal a turret-like organism that would shoot something, most likely projectiles or lasers. In the development notes, the Vortigaunts were supposed to have a device called the control sphere, which may link this cut enemy together with the Vortigaunts. The Fast Walker, or the Spidersword, was a highly intelligent dog-like alien. As an ally, it would follow the player around, acting as a guard dog of sorts, running away from major threats and barking out loud to alert the player about oncoming hostiles. It would learn to love Gordon as the game progressed, as Gordon would inadvertently provide him with the dead bodies of aliens and army grunts to feed on. Its well-developed forelimbs allowed the Spidersword to use machinery and weaponry. There are these two unnamed creature concept art images as well. Not a single bit of information is known about them, apart from the fact that one on the left was designed by Ted Bachman, and the one on the right was designed by Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones's alien looks menacing, while Bachman's alien looks like someone who I would call squiggy. It is speculated that these two are one of the earliest concept art images for Half-Life, or well, back then it was called Quiver. The Poly Robo is something that we've already seen in the Alpha Tech demo video. The main thing of note about this robot is its poly count. Like I stated in the previous video, Quake's most complicated enemy had 500 polygons, while this one has 6,000 polygons. Along with the high poly count, Valve also wanted to demonstrate the new skeletal system they were using, and they did that by making the robot dance. Valve engineer Ken Birdwell remarked that this robot was only created to see if the new Half-Life engine would break or not with this type of 3D model in it. It did not break. He also stated that this robot was created only for demonstration purposes and was never planned to be used in the final game. Similarly, the probe droid was used in the tech demo map to demonstrate the skeletal system as well. It's an aerial robot, and judging from its animations and appearance, it would have shot some kind of darts from its center. However, I can't confirm if this is a cut enemy or just a demonstration piece like the Poly Robo. And there you have it, the cut characters and enemies of Half-Life 1. Although Half-Life 2 had more cut enemies and characters in numbers, Half-Life 1's, I feel, are more unique. Each is different from the other. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.